Welcome back to the Splatoon 2 North American Online Open, June 2020. Jordan Kent, along with my friends Ashley Esqueda and Nine. And as we get set to crown a champion here today, what's at stake? Well, a digital download code for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, ARMS, and Mario Tennis Aces. And Nine, we just saw the first half of our semifinal action take place where 3.5 dubs advanced on a 3-0 sweep. Now, the second half of our bracket, FT Win, the royalty in North America when it comes to competitive Splatoon. They do have a new face that you wanted to point out, though.
They do. Biscuit is going to be playing the Nautilus Splatling, and it's a very unique weapon. But Biscuit is a very talented player, has come from a couple of other top North American teams playing with them now. Don't expect a whole lot of drop-off because FT Win is used to using a Nautilus in their typical comps.
And Ashley, once again, Hanran, one of those old school Splatoon 1, if you rewind the clock all the way back to 2015, a team that is going to be very run and gun style and aggressive. And we mentioned if you're going to be that way, you have to really make sure you communicate and cover the spots that your teammates ask you to go cover.
Yeah, and winning those 1v1s is more important than ever. If you're running an aggressive comp, it becomes incredibly key to win your 1v1s, to win 2v1s. So they have to be feeling pretty confident to run with a setup like this.
And now I'm curious, if you're FT Win and you're implementing a new player like Biscuit, what do you have to do? It seems like you spend a lot of hours just trying to build chemistry. Is that something that is a fact of these Splatoon 2 teams, that they just sort of have this rhythm and sort of develop this relationship over time?
It is, and make no mistake, these players have gobs and gobs and gobs and hours. We won't talk about how many Kyo, the star player for FT Win, has in this game, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot. You play the game enough, and you start to understand how the game is meant to be played, and Biscuit is one of those players. I think they probably went with a little chat about what the general strategies were, but it's a Nautilus, and the Nautilus is going to play the same way no matter what team it's with.
Let's take a look at the bracket here as we get set for more semifinal action here. As we mentioned, FT Win taking on Hanran. The winner will advance to face 3.5 dubs in grand finals. The rules, once again, as we go through our different ranked modes, our first game will be Rainmaker on Manta Maria, then Tower Control on Inkplat Art Academy, Splat Zones on Starfish Main Stage, and then, if necessary, Tower Control, Piranha Pit, and Rainmaker on the Reef. So our teams are getting set to get rolling here. And going back to Rainmaker, Ashley, when we saw 3.5 dubs take on Booyah, it was about a 45-second match here.
Yeah.
You really have to make sure on Rainmaker mode that you have some squids on the field, because if you get wiped, really good teams can make you pay very quickly.
Especially on this map, because it is a smaller map, it is a tighter map. And so if your team gets wiped, that is a lot of ground that your opponent can cover in a very quick amount of time. And especially for a team like Hanran, if you're aggressive, you've already got people well beyond the Rainmaker moving right toward enemy territory, ready to clean up.
Now, Nine, I'm going to try and do my best to remember my nautical terms here. It seems like the middle part of the map, the mast, is where you really want to make sure you control to then get your push, because as you said, if you can make that push towards one of the ends of Manta Maria, you really put the other team in a tough situation.
That is where you need to control, and at that point, you get the opportunity to be decisive, and that really is the thing that makes Rainmaker what it is. When you get to these levels, these teams aren't going to wait and say, well, we've got to, where's the third? Where's the fourth? Should we go now? And then with the 10 seconds you've discussed, the opponent is back. If they see an opening, they're going to run at it. They're going to go right up the middle. They're going to go over to the right, and they're going to cover as much as they can on the way.
And Ashley, with Rainmaker, it's that coordinated effort of, yes, you have to have your specials, but somebody's got to lay down some freeway for you to drive, as I like to say. That's really important. So if you get that Rainmaker, you can get to the goal quickly.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, it's starting. Let's see.
FT Win taking on Hanran. And what do you see about the loadout from our old school Splatoon 1 team at Hanran, Nine?
Well, as advertised, their longest range weapon is a Kensa 52 Gal. That's a weapon that doesn't see a lot of love, period. But it's when that's the longest range weapon on your team, you are showing your hand very, very quickly, saying, we're coming to you, do something about it.
FT Win with the balanced attack, the winning pedigree, the resume to back things up, facing some of the old school opponents in Hanran. But let's go ahead and see that Kyo's already gotten busy. And already it is a 4-2 advantage on the map. 3-3 for Hanran as they grab the Rainmaker to make an initial push. And Ashley, they're getting it to the sweet spot that we've talked about before, backed up by a Booyah Bomb.
Yeah, unfortunately, are we calling, what is this, the poop deck? This is the part of the map. Yeah, there. So you can see the aggressiveness really came in handy. They were able to take out Kyo with that inkjet. But unfortunately, all Rainmakers, except for the one in the previous match, all Rainmakers generally go a little back and forth.
Bran, as we see here, just sitting back right now, has that ink armor ready to deploy, just trying to cover a little bit of turf in the middle. Trying to avoid an inkjet coming out here in 9. If you are Hanron, what is the play here now that you have the early lead with the Rainmaker resetting?
Well, I think you saw exactly what they wanted to do, right? They went back to mid. They knew that the Rainmaker was going to reset on his own, so they figured as long as they had control, it would be okay that the Rainmaker reset. Now that you see they took one out, Brain is willing to move up, take this space, but needs to be careful. They're already one down.
3:30 left, plenty of time available. Two huge splats right there by Braun, and now it's 4-2, 3-1 on the map. And just like that, you have a chance if you're Hanron to make a push here, Ashley.
That was a really good example of winning a 2v1. I mean, he killed a special. So that's like, I mean, that's the best you can hope for in that situation. Really, really great work by Braun.
Hanron, as we said before, with those shorter range shooters here, 9, applying the pressure has helped them build an early lead, and they're doing a good job of holding fort against a team that is very balanced and very experienced with more range.
It is, and that's what this is meant to do, right? It means that you can dictate the flow of the match here. You see that Jared is attacking in the same way that Bran did earlier. This time, however, Biscuit picked that up. You saw he had rotated earlier over instead of waiting for them to come to him. Now they're moved up a little bit, and now we're going to see if that shorter range starts to hurt them.
Yeah, Biscuit with that Nautilus, though, going to get splatted, and that's just enough for the defensive efforts of Hanron to even things up. They still have the lead, 41-0, but still plenty of time. And here comes the first Rainmaker grab and some Tenta missiles to help escort the ball carrier here, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, the Tenta missiles can come in really handy in Rainmaker. It's a really great way to block out an opponent, kind of keep them from your carrier. But unfortunately, doesn't look like it did too much there.
And FT Win has seized control of this game. They take the lead, 34-41, still very close, plenty of time left, but we see so much mid control here in 9, and that's what you want if you're going to play a defensive game at this point.
It really is, and isn't that so frustrating? It seems like Hanron's been doing exactly what they needed to do for 3 minutes, and then one push is all it takes. But credit FT Win again, being patient, knowing when the opportunity was theirs, and that's one of the highest flying inkjets I think I've ever seen.
Biscuit trying to avoid the inkjet from the heavens. Gets the Splat and Sufjan trying to get 2 here. You see a couple of members of Hanron off to the left trying to fill up that Rainmaker and get that shield to burst. 120 left, though. This is when the clock starts to become a factor. Oh, but Apple going to go ahead and get smashed by Biscuit. And now it's more mid-control, though, here, 9 for Hanron, as you see a lot more purple on the map.
It is, and Jared in an inkjet means they're going to have even more space. He's trying to pick out, he thinks that someone might be hiding, so he's going to try to take that out and make sure there's no resistance whatsoever. Just a little bit further, that's a huge pick, but I think that was Shaq over there who got that pick.
Yeah, Jared getting the splat on Biscuit, but Shaq able to provide enough of a defensive effort. Jared trying to find the perch point for FT Win on the backside. Another splat. Jared doing work in the opposition's house at this point. Ink armor comes up, though, for FT Win. That'll help bolster their defenses. But Ashley, it seems like FT Win doing just enough here late in the game to hold this last push from Hanron.
Yeah, Jared was doing a really good job there of trying to keep out a couple of players, but while his teammates respawned, but he couldn't hold out long enough.
Rainmaker resets, and clearly at this point here, 9, Hanron has to play an aggressive style because they're down 7, and that plays right into the hands of what FT Win wants to do with more range.
It is, but look at this. Brand's already up here. They've already got 3 people way ahead. Sufjan's not even going to have a hard time getting there. They need a miracle pick. They have an inkjet. They have bombs. They have the Rainmaker down, and that's going to be it.
Not enough right there. They had everything laid out for them, as we mentioned. But FT Win doing just enough at the last minute defensively here, Ashley. That's what we talked about. When you take that early lead here, Ashley, you have a chance to sit back and focus on being defensive. And that's one less thing you have to think about as a team.
Yeah, I mean, defense, what is that old sports phrase? Jordan, defense wins championships,
wins
right?
championships. I know my boy Nine knows all about his sporty sports there.
Yeah, that's from hockey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Works in every facet of it, but the first game going to FT Win. And, you know, you have to credit Hanron here, 9, because they had no range whatsoever on FT Win, but that aggression seemed to pay off, and really Jared getting a couple of key picks late in the game to apply the pressure against FT Win. That's not a bad showing for Hanron considering the pedigree of FT Win.
It's not a bad showing at all. And actually, in the middle of that game, you saw the adaptation that makes FT Win so strong. Early on, when Bran went on that absolute tear, he took out Biscuit at the start. The next 2 times you saw somebody push that side, Biscuit was ready. Biscuit said, okay, are we really going to do the same dance over and over? And that's why you saw Biscuit at the top there with 16 splats and assists.
And then Ashley, we saw the shift from defense to offense, back to defense coming from FT Win, especially when we saw Biscuit push forward with that Nautilus. And good teams do that. When they are coordinated, they're all moving together as a unit. You don't have that lone squid that likes to jump ahead and try and be a hero.
Oh, it's always the worst, right? When you're playing and somebody just rushes forward, you're like, wait, come back. No, these teams are so controlled and so calm and collected while they play that they're able to do that.
Inkblot Art Academy Tower Control. Let's see if we can draw up another terrific game here. And early on this map here, 9, we've mentioned before in Tower Control, there's sort of that sweet spot. If you can get the tower past a certain checkpoint, it makes it really difficult for the other team to have a comeback. Where's that spot in this map? Where do we keep our focus on in Inkblot Art Academy?
So I would say on this map, it's getting past the second checkpoint that is up on the opponent's plat, as we like to call it. At that point, it really becomes a sprint because that tower starts to move very quickly. Or Sufjan got caught in a little bit of ink right there, but both of these teams are geared up to push way, way ahead of the tower. If they get to that second checkpoint, it might be GG.
I like that. Opponent's plat. Who needs that second syllable right there? We're cool here in Splatoon. All right, tower moving, getting set for that first checkpoint. FT Win already mowing through the first checkpoint and throwing some change as they move through the gate. As they continue to advance here, you also see them pushing up here, Ashley, and that's what you need. The tower in the backside with your teammates escorting a clear path and getting some splats.
Yeah, and there's that special control that we were talking about, that coordination where they're able to use, 1, 2, 3, back to back to back, and then, you bring out the inkjet to try to keep your opponents back towards spawn. This might be a little difficult for Hanron just because they don't run with a really long distance weapon generally, and so I think this might be tough for them. That ability to hold a back line, to be able to have that range is really, I think, kind of key in tower control.
And 9, you loved what you just saw right there.
Biscuit just got 3 people in 3 seconds. That was unreal. Biscuit is using the longest range weapon on the map, and maybe more than anything else, the Nautilus is built to do exactly what he's doing right now, and that's take out these short-range shooters.
And those Biscuits can cook quickly, and we just saw that, eliminating 3 members of Hanron, and it's all FT Win at this point. Tower slowly resetting back to neutral, but Hanron hasn't made anything resembling a push in this one. Kyo just kind of hanging out by the brick, waiting for a chance to duck through. Goes ahead and throws that fizzy bomb, able to connect right there. And Kyo just trying to silently wait and find those openings. A nice little trade that gives the advantage on the map for FT Win. And Ashley, again, this is a situation for FT Win. You've got the lead. Yes, you can play aggressive if you want to, but it's so much more effective when you're defensive and the other team has to come to you.
It really is, but I have to say, I am super impressed with Jared right now. He's doing a great job. He did it in the last game. He's doing it in this game, doing a great job of winning these 2v1s, even during an ink armor, which is really, really impressive.
But 9, if you're looking at Hanron, you just don't have the range. And this is a map where that range can really be useful because you've got so much undulation at different levels in Inkblot Art Academy. And it's been all FT Win. However, Hanron trying to get to this first checkpoint. We've seen comebacks before. If you're Hanron in this position, 9, what do you have to make sure you do with just 2 minutes left?
Well, I think they did exactly what they needed to. They took down one person, Bran moved forward, and Bran is still up. So now they've got them in what we call a staggered spawn. There are going to be 2 people coming out at separate times. If they can get through this checkpoint, they have the tools and the players up to take this push the distance.
And Hanron trying to get through the second checkpoint. As you mentioned, if they do, it'll start to get interesting. Now we're just a few spots away from tying things up. Inkjet coming out to help out. Can Jared provide enough cover? No, just down 3, and yet again, right on the verge of coming back. FT Win, though, able to play defense in the margin of error so thin here, and that Nautilus and Biscuit putting in more work, Ashley.
Ooh, I mean, wow. Everybody loves a biscuit, you guys, right? Like, that was amazing. That was just really coordinated, really good. Everybody, both teams converging on the tower, and FT Win just, that range really, really matters in tower control.
Yeah, FT Win putting a label on the tower and sending it back to sender at this point, and now they are in full control of this game so far. Hanron really going to have to be playing perfect here, 9 for the most part, to come back. Hard to do when you're down 4-2 on the map.
4-2, make that 4-1, and how's about a full wipe here? They could knock this out if they wanted to. Kyo is up here. This is a victory lap for them at this point. Bran is the last one up. He's going to try to make one more dive at the tower, but how's about it? Look at this. FT Win showing why they are the defending champs.
And they are, 9, as you saw right there, the defensive ability to just hold down fort. Hanron Ashley was just 3 spots away from tying things up, but FT Win completely flips things around. And then when they put their foot on the pedal, you see how destructive they can be, mowing down Hanron and closing things out. And how about that Biscuit with 19 on the splats and assists?
Like I mean, it's just so good. Like, it's so good. I love a good ranged. I love a backliner. I mean, it's like they are the unsung heroes of Splatoon teams, I think, sometimes. And so to really see him get to have that many splats, be that aggressive with the Nautilus, I mean, it's just really, it's fun.
And it comes back to 9, you just got to win your 1v1s, but it was really Biscuit getting those 3 splats, getting those 2v1s. And you mentioned when star players can do that, the newest member of FT Win, Biscuit, by the way, that's huge, because that's when we see the huge change of momentum in a match, is when you get those multiple splats.
It really is. It starts the snowball, and that is, again, what his weapon is made to do. The Nautilus does have the longest range, and it can hold its charge, meaning that it can keep up with some of those shorter range weapons as well. If Biscuit isn't going ham in the way that he is right now, we might be seeing a completely different set.
See, now you're talking about ham, biscuits, get me all hungry right here as we continue to go through. We're not even to grand finals yet. You got my tummy rumbling here. Yeah, that's right. I'm a grown man, and I said tummy. Let's go ahead and get to Starfish main stage. Splat zones here. We saw it not too long ago with 3.5 dubs and Booyah. But Ashley, controlling that stage, and then we seem to see that forward push, but then handling the onslaught of specials that will eventually come in Splat zones.
Yeah, I mean, you can see we're already seeing specials built up. It has literally been less than 15 seconds. I mean, it's incredible how fast these teams can build special, and oh wow, he leapt right back. He was like, no, never mind. Hanron getting back to spawn because they were down 3-1.
And we saw that early on, 9, just the 4-1 demolition right here by FT Win. They quickly regained the lead at this point, and we talk about pushing forward aggressively. Textbook example right here.
It is, and I do not know how much HP Biscuit has to have survived that long, but, you know, to hit on a point that you mentioned right there, I think FT Win is one of the best teams at understanding when an inch becomes a mile. Some teams might look at a small opening and say, that's just a little bit. They see not only that move, but the next 3, and that's why they are so strong.
But don't sleep on Hanron. Yes, as you mentioned, Ashley, thinking ahead for your opponent, and right now Hanron has a chance to go ahead and take a couple of pawns as they threaten the queen, and they've got that timer ticking down and really threaten to gobble up the lead, but here comes that specials. You've got to make sure you hold fort here, Ashley.
Yeah, and with Tentamissiles, you just want to get off the control point. You have to get off the splat zone, because otherwise you're just giving your opponent free ink for the space to take it back.
And such a good point. You've got to swim away and free up that real estate so you don't give it up. But now a little bit more back and forth. Both teams with a similar penalty. But 9, give credit to Hanron. They continue to apply the pressure to FT Win.
They are, and again, with a team as talented as Hanron, with such great mechanical skill, you know it's only a moment before they find their opening. The difference has been in the past, FT Win has found just enough resources at the last moment, but with just a few seconds left, the lead is going to go to Hanron. Can they take it the distance?
That's a lot of Tentamissiles. Whew.
And Hanron seizing control of the lead, and now it's FT Win searching for some solutions. We see Kyo hiding up top right now, drums down with that slosher, trying to cover up some territory. And now the splat zone up for grabs at this point. FT Win trying to claim it. They're up 4-3 on the map at this point. Kyo trying to stay alive. Somehow able to just long enough for FT Win to regain control. And Ashley, here's FT Win's chance. They're up 3-2 on the map.
This is their shot. If they can hold this point, if they can really use their specials wisely, I think this might be very bad for Hanron.
Now, 9, can you push forward too far, though? Can you be a little too aggressive to where that staggered spawn is no longer an issue for Hanron and you can mow them down?
I think there absolutely is, and it's one of those heat of the moment situations where maybe it doesn't work, but if it does work, you can get the lead, and we've seen that right here. All that fighting was taking place away from the zone, and that's huge.
And now FT Win has got the lead, 10 seconds away from the knockout and punching their way to grand finals. Can Hanron get one more last surge? They won't, and FT Win in FT Win style gets the sweep 3-0. They will meet 3.5 dubs in grand finals after making quick work with the comeback in Splat zones. And Ashley, 9 alluded to it. If you give FT Win an inch, they'll go a mile. You cannot have any weaknesses or any points in a match where you slip up, because FT Win will expose you.
Yeah, they are very good at seeing a weakness and then exploiting it for everything they can possibly get out of it. So this is why they are one of the best teams, if not consistently the best team in North America. I mean, they're just amazing at this. And we saw that there, right? So they took it back and they really made an effort to just, at that point, again, it's defense. You just keep them away from that splat zone. That's all you have to do is just hold. And so you don't have to bring the fight. You say, okay, you come to me, and they have the high ground, and they really took advantage.
All right, let's get set for grand finals here. Let's take a look at the updated bracket. A couple of sweeps have led 3.5 dubs to face FT Win. And I know this is a matchup you're very excited for here, 9, because we saw 3.5 dubs make quick work of Booyah. FT Win, a couple close matches with Hanron in their first 2 games. So this is going to be very interesting to see how both these teams play out. They both have more balanced loadouts, it seems like.
They do. And, we talk about storylines in Splatoon. This is an interesting one because, again, the last time the North American Championships happens, FT Win won. But every member of 3.5 dubs was on one of the teams that they beat to get there. They were in the top 4 last year, too. So revenge does taste sweet. I will say that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how 3.5 dubs responds back to this one. And Ashley, just going back to that game one more time, you mentioned playing defense, and you have to do that by pushing forward. And then you defend almost a zone ahead of the splat zone to secure things, as opposed to just staying back and letting the other team cover the zone. So let's go ahead and take one more little break as we get set here for our grand finals in the Splatoon 2 North American Online Open, June 2020.